right in the beard. Well, beards are making the house.
We're losing Sarge.
Oh man, losing Sarge on the intro.
That's okay. We didn't have any viewers yet. Now we just got our first viewer in, so nobody saw it.
Those podcast numbers are going to go down after that. I tell you, they're going to be like, "Whoa!" It's like that was like Aaron Neville singing. No,
hey, we're back.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the off season, boys. How we doing?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Awesome, man. I love that Eli Manning. Is that like a canvas in the back?
It's like a poster that my fiance got me, so I got a backdrop.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is she doing that out of pity because we are not in the playoffs anymore, or?
No, I got that one as a Christmas present, but I had to get the frame thing for it right here.
Love it. Looks good. Well, cool. Well, what do we think, guys? I mean, as you guys know, I'm taking a social media break. I know everyone jokes around about that, but I was just like, you know what? It's the off season. You know, I've been throwing some mock drafts up there with very little commentary over the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's hard to get pumped up for this Super Bowl. It's just, my wife and I are huge football fans. We both hate the Eagles. We both kind of can't stand, I wouldn't say can't stand, but we're like, you know, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's around. He's been great. You know, it's kind of the curse of being like a really great player. Like when you're always in the Super Bowl, you're kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. It takes a rare athlete to always have people excited about them being in a big game, like a Jordan or whatnot. But I don't know. Mahomes doesn't do that for me. You know, I think Brady later did because it was kind of like he's still doing it at this age.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm struggling for reasons to watch this game other than it's the last football game of the season.
I mean, for me, it's just fuck the Eagles. It's always fuck the Eagles. And yeah, I mean, I get that with Patrick Mahomes. There is like getting tiring, but at the same time, like he's like probably like one of like the most likable like elite quarterbacks we've seen. Like he's just nothing to like as far as just like he's just a good dude who doesn't say anything wrong. So it's hard. I definitely get worn out when people are just going back to back to back because I want to see something different for just the sake of seeing new teams play. But yeah, I mean, right now I am hoping that trading Tony to the Chiefs helps them win instead of dropping Bradbury to the Eagles to help them win. I'm hoping that's the one that puts them over the top. We could help. Like, I don't give a shit about Tony right now. Like, I hope he goes off for 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. I don't give a fuck. I want the Eagles to lose. I could care less.
What do you think, Sarge? Sarge, you got us, buddy, or no? I don't know.
I think Caldies, man.
There he is.
Apparently, for some reason, the video is set for YouTube for kids, so the chat is turned off.
Huh.
So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's set that way, and weird. But we're not going to turn it off. You just can't talk unless you DM us. So DMs are open at Big Blue Beards if you want to chat that way. But right now, I'm not going to reset the whole stream because I don't know what happened. As far as the game goes, Kansas City, man, I want the Eagles just embarrassed. Just embarrassed. Kansas City by 14. Fuck those guys.
I feel like every time I open my mouth about the Eagles, they do something really great. So I'm just not going to say anything. Like at this point, like I'm like I feel really defeated after they beat us that bad, and then they beat the shit out of the Niners. Granted, you know, I don't feel like the Niners defense was kind of given its justice because that offense really didn't give them a chance to get off the field, didn't really put up the fight, obviously get everyone getting hurt. So yeah, the Eagles are just a really good team. I heard Julian Love on the radio talking about it begrudgingly, how much he was just like, I said what I said about Sirianni, and I back it up, but he's like, I'm still picking them to win it all. He's like, I just think they're the most complete team. Now, am I hoping that all the Kansas City wins? Absolutely. But I just don't see it. I don't, unless Mahomes just goes absolutely bananas.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But who cares about them right now? I mean, they're just playing in the Super Bowl. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Whatever. No big deal. Let's talk about the offseason and what we're hearing and what our mock drafts and all things that are Giants related, and we'll get into some other stuff later. I think we're all pretty unanimous, unless I'm saying it wrong. We all are kind of in de facto that Daniel Jones is coming back, one way or the other, franchise or otherwise. Would it surprise you more if we didn't sign Saquon, or are we all in the agreement that would be that's probably the biggest domino to drop, like in terms of whether or not he is back or if he signs with another team?
With Saquon or with Jones?
Saquon.
With Saquon, yeah. I think that is the biggest domino because, the domino also starts with Jones in the sense, like, yes, we feel he's back. I mean, I felt that Shane was pretty clear in his press conference that he's going to be here. And until, maybe something happens and they move on. But right now I'm just assuming that, and that's how I'm moving forward. But, it depends if they get a deal done. If they get a deal done with Jones, then the franchise tag for Saquon's easy. It's $10 million. You get him for 1 year, and that's an easy call. I think there will be a couple running backs that are going to get in that franchise. I could see Pollard getting it. I could see Josh Jacobs getting it. It's a really cheap tag, so I think that's what to do. But if we're going to need it for Jones, I don't think that Saquon is going to agree to a deal before free agency. I could see him coming back because I think as much as his agent isn't going to admit to him making millions and more dollars being the face of the franchise in a New York team, when push comes to shove and he's getting offered $13.5 million to go play in Arizona, or he can play $12.5 and get all those endorsements and come back here, I think there's a good shot he's back. But I do think he's going to test the market, and we'll see what happens, assuming no free agency. What about you guys? What about you, Sarge?
I kind of hope they both do. I kind of hope they both test the market. Let them go out and see what they can get. I'm never going to say, that a player shouldn't go out and try to get as much money as he can, but I don't know if I want my team to be the one to paying him. And I see a lot of people just saying like, well, if Jones can't agree on a long-term deal, then we'll just franchise tag him. People obviously don't know how the franchise tags work. Because if you franchise him, that's 30, like it's 32 million. Yes, but it's 32 million fully guaranteed.
It's true.
Like 54 or 44 million in available cap space before we start moving people around and doing other stuff. But like, do you really want to use 32 out of 40 or 54 for a guy who's had one mediocre year?
Whoa!
Not me.
Calm down, Sarge.
I'm good.
I've been told. I was told, and I think maybe I said he had a great year. Maybe I was just basking in the glory of the first playoff win I've seen in a long time. But yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I mean, hell, I don't think any of our employers are watching. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you guys are trying to tell me that you guys don't like not field offers, but like if someone that is in your network says, "Hey, man, my company is hiring and you're qualified. What do you think about X?" And you're like, "Well, I'm happy where I am. What's the offer?" Like, I'm sure Daniel Jones is happy. I don't know if he is. Maybe he's miserable. Maybe he is. I don't know all the shit that it's talked about him. Maybe he's just like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Charlotte, or I'm going to go to. I mean, I said this at the beginning. Like, wouldn't it make sense if the Carolina Panthers, who have terrible quarterbacks, Sam Darnold is not better than him, not better than, and hasn't shown that he's better than Daniel Jones. Now has an offensive coach in Frank Reich, who has done wonders with quarterbacks in the past, not this past year, obviously. To have a dual threat quarterback down in Carolina, and he's literally back in his hometown. I don't know. That's a possibility. That wouldn't surprise me if he went someplace else, if someone wanted to throw a bunch of cash at him. But and it wouldn't bother me either. Like, when I've been doing a bunch of these mock drafts, I've been in the mindset of like, what if Joe Schoen like knows that he's most likely not going to sign Saquon long term? So I've been looking at running backs in like the 3rd and 4th round, just because there's a bunch of good ones in this draft. You don't need to draft anybody early. So, and I've also done, because you have multiple picks, where you potentially could draft 2 running backs, more of a bruiser, because Matt Breida isn't signed. He's not coming back. He may sign him. I don't know if he's an answer for another a year. I like him, but that's also another bit of cap space. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure he's gone too. Am I wrong? Maybe.
Yeah, I think Matt Bray is a free agent, I believe.
Right. So we have to sign him back if we bring him back, right? So yeah, there have been drafts where I was just like, you get like a what I would consider like a 3-down back, and then a guy like Deuce Vaughn, who's out of Kansas State, who's more of like a scat back. You know what I mean? Like, so, if you're trying to Gary Brightwell is not going to be your primary back, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh, hang on, timeout, guys. Chat is back open. I fixed it. Refresh your page if you want to jump in the chat.
Ooh, look at you.
Oh, so, yeah.
I was able to do it. I was just checking while we were talking there. So I got it fixed. So, yeah, feel free to chat. We missed you guys. So feel free to refresh your page.
Thank Christ for tech support. Thank Christ for tech support.
But, yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you guys on the whole discussion. Like, I don't know. Ultimately, where I fall on it is, and we'll talk about, like, I'm still open for looking at quarterback, especially if we do a franchise tag like on Jones. Like, look, a year from now, if we're not totally sold yet, that gives you option of looking elsewhere and seeing if you have a better thing within the house. But right now, Joe Schoen has earned my trust. 32 is tough to swallow, but I think it's just kind of something that, when you didn't pick up that $22 million 5th-year option, you took a calculated risk when you did that. You'd rather be in a situation, I think, where you want to see another year out of Jones and you're paying him $32 million this year, than locked in a year ago, him totally suck, and then pay him $22 million and you don't even know him on the roster. So, it's with a quarterback, it's okay sometimes too, in my opinion, too. If you believe in a guy and you think he's a good player in this NFL, you don't necessarily want to throw that away, because even if Jones doesn't end up being this guy and you build around him, but he continues to improve and you see he's a good player in this offense, that has value. You can go ahead and trade that guy. Look at what Carson Wentz just got traded for this last offseason. He went for 2 third-round picks. Look what Alex Smith went for a second plus twice. Sam Bradford went for a 1st-round pick. Like, these guys have value. If they can just show that they're good NFL quarterbacks, it's not necessarily something you want to throw away. And I think that's an argument that's being overlooked with this. I know the salary cap's tough with it, but even if he doesn't end up being the guy for us, if we feel that he's a top 15 quarterback, that's an asset, just like any other player that we're looking at as an asset.
I don't disagree, man. Well, what are we thinking in terms of, because lately, and I think I sent Sarge a couple of the mock drafts that I've done, but a couple of things I've done is, in looking at these mock drafts, is like, when you're talking about filling needs, thinking about which players they're probably going to try to target in free agency. So if I don't have, this is why I'm taking a break on social media, because my brain is saying, hey, if I'm going to do this draft right now, and I'm going to say, hey, we've in my brain, we're going to try to go after Tremaine Edmonds. So I won't need Trenton Simpson. I don't need Drew Sanders if they're available, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't have a list of interior offensive linemen, or potentially trading for a left guard or a center that is more kind of what they're looking for. Or a swing tackle that they can put on that can start as a guard, whatever the case may be. So a lot of my mock drafts have been like, because the people will comment and go, "Oh, no interior offensive lineman, fucking loser," or something like that, or "Oh, you didn't pick a cornerback." Like, we don't need another slot receiver. And I'm just like, well, if you looked at the draft, I traded in my draft, in my mock draft, in my fictitious world, for Mike Evans or for another big time wide receiver. So that's also what I'm doing too, is like filling needs with not like ridiculous trades, but just, I look to see if someone wants to trade, like you get those proposed trades. And then if one of the teams has a player that I feel like would be beneficial for us, I do that. And that way it fills a gap. So then I can add value throughout the rest of my mock. So I don't know if that's how you guys do yours, but that's kind of what I've been doing. And hopefully just thinking about creative ways, to have fun with that. Like, it literally takes 2 minutes to do a draft. I think it's probably the silliest thing that people say to you when they're like, "Oh, what do you like, a Twitter GM?" It's like, guys, it's on the internet and it takes literally 2 minutes to do. Like, you think this is a waste of time? It's fun. It's just like, do it in between meetings. I'm like, who cares?
What do you think of that, Sarge? What's your opinion?
So, I mean, I try not to do trades with players, and then I look at some of the outlandish trades that are proposed by the simulator. Like, I had a mock draft a couple of weeks ago where the Rams traded like 7 picks for the 25th pick. And then I made another trade with like 4 this year, 3 for next year, and then I made another trade with San Francisco to move. They wanted to move up, so I ended up like with 4 and 3, like 5 and 24. It's ridiculous. I mean, but the simulator says that they're fair, so we let it roll.
So I'm a little bit of a mock draft here.
I'll mock draft all day long. I got an extra.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. For me, I'm a little bit of a mock draft purist. I definitely do it. Like, I don't go on like telling people like I don't like theirs, but for me, I just stay away from trades. I get like they're fun. You see them pop up, but for me, I'm just like, I can barely get these picks right. Think I can predict what trades we're gonna do. That's not gonna happen. So I just like ignore that it's even there. So,
but let me ask you a question though. Which website do you use? Because I find that when you do, like, for me, if I use, I'm thinking it's what profootballfocus.com. To me, I always find that one has the most realistic. Like, they don't let you trade like stupid. Like, I feel like the mock draft database, the one that Sarge is talking about, or I think there's another one that's kind of like Pro Football Focus, that you're right, you'll get like 12 picks for like to move up, and it's like, then I don't do those. Like, and I'm not saying that like they're fun, but like I just it's just like I'm trying to make it, for me, I try to make it as realistic as possible. Like, we talked about Madden before. Like, I used to play Madden all the time, and I used to get shittier players just to make it harder. Like, I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to get like the best team possible. I'd always get like rookies and like guys who I thought were like just fast and try to build them up.
Yeah, I always want young and stuff.
Because like, to me, that was what made it a challenge. So for me, I'm trying to make the best mock draft, and if that means a couple of trades, cool. With players or without.
Yeah. So I shout out Doug Analytics, who's been a lot of these shows. He's shown the ridiculousness of some of these simulators. I think it actually was PFF he did this year, where you can just abuse those so bad sometimes. Like you said, like if you stay out of it and leave the lame ones. But he took one, I think, and he got like every like star player in the NFL by just trading down, using those, trading for like a quarterback, trading back, or what all these crazy shit. And it just gets out of hand for me. I just like the chance we're going to be, especially like, I like it probably better for trading for a player because like that's something that might happen and then you predict it. But when we're trading down, I'm just like, we're not going to be in position to have 3 second-round picks type of thing. That's just, it won't happen.
It's true. No, you're right.
But it's all in the fun though. I'm with you there. I stay out of it. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Well, before we go on to, I think Sarge has potentially a something to show us in our stream here. I got to show you. I found this video and it's hysterical. But the first person I'm going to show it to you guys, and I want you to tell me who you think this person of Giants Twitter, who this reminds you of. And I have my answer, and I'm gonna see if you guys are the same. Check this out.
Meteorologist reporting on the snow. I mean, it's in the streets. God damn.
So if you're just listening to this, you have this older gentleman. He's got the greatest, tiniest little mustache I've ever seen in my life. And it's like wispy, like a Gary Sheffield mustache. And he just busts his ass because he's like, I don't know, first time you saw snow, but first time I saw that, I immediately someone popped in my head based off of their tweets and just like their persona on Twitter, whether that's with how they are in real life. What do you guys think?
I'll be honest, I didn't get anybody. I was trying to think who it could be, but nobody popped up for me. What
about you, Sarge?
Yeah, I got nothing. Man.
What do you got?
Are y'all serious?
No, I don't know.
That's Richard, man. Cool and hero right there.
Oh, see, I like Richard. Yeah, that makes,
dude.
I can see that.
Can't y'all see that being Richard? Like, look, this is Richard. He's like, fuck, man, it's snowing outside.
Meteorologist.
Yeah, I could.
Reporting on the snow. I mean, it's in the streets.
In the streets.
God damn.
Okay. All right.
Every time I read a tweet from Richard, that is the dude I'm gonna see. Just so you know.
It's all gonna be punctuated with "God damn."
Yep.
All right. Sarge, you want to jump into the mocks that we were talking about?
Yeah, let's get into these because we've been talking about them. So let's get into it, man.
All right. So I'll give our opinions.
Here we go. And I did, if you remember, I asked for the first 4 rounds because I don't give a crap about whatever 7th round punter you guys are talking about drafting.
Like Michael Turk.
I want to talk about 6th round interior offensive lineman. First 4 rounds. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
What did I get?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, don't worry about it.
7 round mock drafts.
Sarge, there's never been a good 6th round quarterback that's won Super Bowls or a 7th round pick that was Mr. Irrelevant that was in the NFC Championship game. It's cool. We can just do 4 rounds, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, no, I wanted to keep it simple. That's what I
wanted. What are you guys' opinion on Trenton?
So this is mine.
This is yours.
Mine.
So what's your opinion? Why'd you pick Trenton Simpson? What do you like about him?
Yeah. So honestly, the thing is I will tell you this. I kind of did this backwards. When I was doing the draft, it said that he was, the best player available. I knew we needed a linebacker. Well,
yeah.
This past week, I went back and I started looking him up on YouTube and watching highlight films. This guy is a heat-seeking missile.
He flies.
This guy knows how to tackle people. This guy is always around the ball. And I'm like, all right, well, now I feel way better about picking him in the first round.
So
it's like the guy's an animal. The guy.
I'm not a huge Simpson guy.
Absolute animal.
I'm not a huge Simpson guy, but I get it. Like to me, like when I watch him, I think he kind of just he plays out of control. I feel sometimes I don't think the instincts are necessarily there when I watch it. But I'll say he is a freak athlete. There's talks that he runs in the 4.3s, high 4.3s would be insane. He squats a ton, benches a ton. He's like a total gym freak. Like, and he's a guy who moves like he's like a 6'2", 220 guy, but he's like 6'4", 240 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I definitely see the appeal in him.
Right. So
something that we mentioned.
He's not without his faults.
Yeah,
he does he does have a tendency to over pursue, and he also has a tendency to just completely whiff sometimes. And like the highlight videos I watched, you see that like, oh, that one wasn't great, but they're showing the good with the bad. But he recovers really well, and with the right coach, he's gonna be an animal. And
for sure.
I'm
and I can see him with a guy like Wink.
For me, like I think for me, like I mean, everything you guys said, like Monty talked about his size. He's 6'3", 240. He probably runs sub 4, even if he's a 4.4 linebacker. I don't even know when the last time we had a sideline to sideline linebacker that has that type of speed. We've had some hybrid guys that could do similar things that weren't true like big guys like this.
Like
that were like middle linebackers
type movement, but bigger.
Yeah, and to me, like he is more of kind of like an over pursuing linebacker. But guess what? You know what, man? Like I want guys who are going to make mistakes, but they're going to do it fast and have the ability to recover because they have talent, right? And I think those things are easily corrected because you don't want a guy coming in that's unsure of his ability. I don't think Trenton Simpson is unsure of his ability. He's a Charlotte kid. 5-star recruit. Clemson's defense was okay this year. It wasn't a classic Clemson defense that we've seen over the last few years. But if there was one or two bright spots, I know they got some guys that are going to be drafted. It is on that front seven. And so, yeah, I wouldn't hate on this at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. For me, I think I kind of like those athletes who kind of play out of control at linebacker. I do like that, but I like it a little bit later. Typically, it might be a little rich in my blood, but I could definitely see the appeal. But another name I see on here, I want you guys' opinions about. We were alluding it to a little earlier. Is Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round? How would you guys feel about that?
I wouldn't hate it because I'm a huge Hendon Hooker fan, just as a person. I mean, he grew up in the hometown, in the same town I'm in. I know his high school coach. I know his my attorney is really good friends with his father, so it's a really great family. As far as him as a player, I don't care about his age because I feel like players play into their late 30s now. But I also wouldn't mind us going with a younger kid because we're bringing Daniel Jones back. If Daniel Jones is gone or he decides to sign someplace else, then yeah, I think Hendon is probably one of the most complete quarterbacks coming in. He's a day one pick if he didn't tear his ACL. So it also depends on if his knee is okay. Is it structurally sound?
Supposedly he's supposed to be ready for training camp. So
yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard down here in good old Greensboro, he's going to be ready to go. But that's people I feel like being optimistic too. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. I would have no issue with him there. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't like jump up and down. I'd be excited because he's from here and like I could be rocking Greensboro. I'll fucking buy his jersey and walk around in Greensboro and people are like, oh shit, because I have all these shirts that say support your local hooker that have Tennessee colors on them. So we'll make some blue shirts, dude. Like if he signs for a team, that'll be the first shirt we get
for sure.
We will
Um,
get you support your local hooker shirt. So that I will be excited about.
Yeah,
Do
so
it.
that exclusively. What? All right, Sarge. So sell me on Hooker round 3. Why'd you pick him here?
Well, after watching him all this past year in Tennessee, he's an dude. You know, he's a smart guy. He processes quickly. He's got great pocket presence. He can run when he needs to. He's a mobile quarterback. And, you know, and I knew he was going to fall because of the injury. And I think it's the age argument is stupid. I'm so tired of, well, you know, he's like, why would we draft a guy who's the same age as Daniel Jones is going to be? And that's because it's like, hey, the guy's an adult. He's 25. You know, he's going to come in. He's going to act like an adult. He's not going to come in and do stupid rookie shit like some other, you know, draft picks have in the past. And getting him in the 3rd round is a goddamn steal, man. It's a goddamn steal.
And you take him there even if Daniel Jones is on the roster?
Why not? You only have Tyrod Taylor on the roster for another year. You need more quarterbacks than one. You give him time to rehab, and then if DJ shits the bed, you know, and then you have him as the backup to Tyrod. He doesn't have to play at all the first. They're not tied to him as far as like the clock doesn't start for Shane and Dable because you took him in the 3rd round. You didn't take him in the 1st round. You didn't give up assets to go get him. He's there and you got him. You give him time to heal and rehab and make sure he's good to go. And then you put him out there when he's ready and see what he can do. It's a no-brainer because here's my problem is you have to develop quarterbacks, you know, college, high school, college, in the pros. You have to continue to develop quarterbacks. Even if you're not going to use them, you draft them, you develop them, and then eventually you move on with them somewhere and they go somewhere else. You know, it happens. But you need that because of, like I said before, what happened with the 49ers. You have to make sure that every single person in that quarterback room can come out and run the offense that you have in place at any given time. And Hendon Hooker's a guy who can do that for you.
Yeah, no, I think you guys nailed it. I'll just give my thoughts on it, and we can look at some more other mocks here. But yeah, I like.
Let's move on.
But yeah, Hooker's probably my number 1 QB target in this draft. I would take him even if Jones is here, is assuming that we're able to move on. Like,
does this make you feel better, Monty? I picked him in at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, and I'd feel really good with either of those 3rd round picks. They'll be pretty late. With here one is very similar draft. But yeah, I like Hooker. And I think the age matters in like the 1st round because you're worried about his ceiling. But you know, he's a good enough player, and I think at one point the argument comes if he gets onto the roster, still have Jones, is does Jones take that next step to justify what he's getting paid? Not necessarily takes a regression, but if he's like really deserving what he's paid, then you look at where did Hooker get to? Is Hooker 75% of Jones, but making 90% less? And then you can make those decisions on if you want to trade him, if the franchise tag's up, it gives you some leverage in a franchise tag. So to me, even if you're looking at Hooker like 25 years old, like, well, even if you have him for 4 years or 3 more years, just paying him nothing, and he, you know, you don't have your quarterback at the end of it, at least you got some cheap QB play for a while to help hold you over. You're not tied to the guy. Something else shows up, he's a 3rd round pick, you go and get it. So I'd be open to it. And you know, and even if you keep Jones, you can replace Tyrod. You're paying way too much money to be a backup. So I like it.
We love Hooker.
Yeah.
Hooker.
Support your local Hookers.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. We're going to clip that.
Support your
But
you telling me like Hookers.
I like this one better, Sarge. I like Darnell Washington a lot. Obviously, I mean, you got Cedric Tillman later, so that obviously better. Darnell Washington's a monster. I'd be open to. I really like Bellinger. but I would not be opposed to.
I love
running the
Big O.
Yeah,
So-
no, I'm with you guys there too. I like
Daniel
Washington.
Bellinger's the only tight end we have on the roster for next year, except for
So-
Chris Myrick.
And Darnell Washington's a monster. And then Joe
right,
Tippman's
moving
a really
on.
good pick too.
This one we
Who's
don't have
this?
to talk about too much. This is me again. This is me
Oh,
again.
this is just the Sarge
again.
mock
Dude,
draft.
I do
Cool.
17 mock drafts a day.
All his mocks.
Cool. How many mocks you
Blah,
got?
blah, blah. All right, whatever. Okay.
Oh, this one's mine.
I had 3 in here. That's it. 3. Relax. Okay, but this one I did take Dontavian. Have you guys watched any footage on Dontavian Wicks?
A little bit.
I dropped a highlight. I tweeted out a highlight video of him a couple days ago.
Yeah, I forgot what game I watched with him. But
Monty, what did you say?
no,
I talked over you.
No, you're good.
Oh,
I forgot what game I watched with him, but I did like him. Xavier Hutchinson, somebody I really like. He is a very just solid player. He's a good route runner. He's got good hands. He's got a big body. He's a guy that he reminds me a little bit of what not coming out, but he reminds me a little bit of what Hodgins did for us this year. I think he's a little bit more athletic than Hodgins is, but he reminds me a little bit of him.
I think he's a little faster.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a better athlete, which would do it favor for him. And Keely Ringo,
and I can just hear in my head watching.
Okay.
Dude, I love Bulldogs, man. I love my Bulldogs.
Yeah, I like Keely Ringo.
Right.
I don't know if he's worth the first round pick there, but I could.
Yeah, I would be mad about him if we really fell
He's
in love
mocked
with
in
him.
the first round. I was surprised. I was surprised he was there. Every other mock draft I've done, he's gone before 25.
Really? I haven't seen that at all.
He's an all ups. He's a
all right,
ton
Monty,
of
you're up.
upside. All right. So this one was one I did that I thought was interesting. So, a lot of the same people we've been seeing between the wide receivers, the corners, things like that.
I like Trey Palmer.
Yeah, I like Trey Palmer a lot. But we had Peter Skonorski here.
I like Ivan Pace.
Ivan Pace. These are all players I really like. I'll run through them. Like Peter Skonorski, I don't know if he'll make. He has 32-inch arms.
Pace a
So
lot.
if people look him at as a guard, he might fall. Drew Sanders, just a very competent, good, solid linebacker. Trey Palmer, very good speed guy, 6 foot, Senior Bowl. Ivan Pace, I think all of us really know Ivan Pace. He was, one of the best players in college football this year. Pass rusher, all around, just one of those guys where we're talking about Simpson, how he just runs the ball. I think he's a little bit more in control. He's not quite the athlete, but he's all run and tax the ball. Sean Tucker, good hands all around running back. Riley Moss and Gilmore. These are 2 corners that I want you guys to look into if you haven't, that I've really been on all year. Riley Moss, first of all, very cool if he could end up being our Jason Sehorn, white cornerback. But
shut your mouth.
Yeah, dude. You
put a white cornerback in your mock draft.
Is that allowed? Are we allowed to do that anymore?
I swear to God, dude. He was an All-American last year. In
white league? Like, what happened?
What?
Was that in like the all white league in the 1AA range? Is that Iowa? Is that Iowa at Des Moines?
Dude's a track star.
He was at Iowa's Farmer College.
One of the best mile per hour's track there. He is
.com does not count as a mock draft money.
What?
FarmersOnly.com does not count as a mock draft.
If you want a little bit more color, I guess in the other corner, you got Stephen Gilmore, who's he's I guess the Stefan Urkel. He's the Stephen Urkel with Stefan Gilmore. He's his brother. Stephen Gilmore and Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, okay.
But he is a press
Oh
man
my
corner.
gosh, are you kidding me?
What? He's a press man corner. Though. Very, very good corner. They had really good PFF grade him really highly this year.
I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Just keep going.
But and then Dell.
I like Nathaniel Dell too.
But great player. Higgins is a freak athlete. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that one?
I have no issue with any of those except for Riley Moss because I can't believe
I've seen
that
Drew
you put that guy
Sanders
in there.
mocked to the Giants in the. Oh God.
I've
actually seen Drew Sanders mocked to the Giants in the first round.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a really just a quality all-around linebacker.
What you got? What's next?
But one last thing before we move on.
Go ahead. Go back.
Next is you. Big Smooth.
Is Elijah Higgins, that one guy from Stanford.
Go back.
6'3", 240. And he was tracked at 21.5 miles per hour last year as on the field. So he's just a big, fast guy. So potentially developmental guy. So just want to throw that out there. So
I love that. The only thing I always worry about with big, tall guys like that that carry weight that are fast is like their ability to get off the ball and getting jammed up at the line and not having that kind of fast twitch. And I think that's been the case with some of the guys that we've had in the past, right? My favorite big play, probably had one game that everyone loved was Ramses Barden. It's one of my favorite guys who is supposed to be the next best thing, third round pick.
I love that.
6'6", 220. That was a Jerry Reese special right there.
Yep. And who knows if Elijah Higgins works out, but that's the exact type of guy I would like to throw a dart at late and just see. I don't like taking my athletes early in the first couple rounds. I'd rather take them late and see if we can develop them and get my guys who are already good technical players early, especially at wide receiver.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough.
Yep. All right, moving on. Big Smooth.
Okay. I did this one after I apparently Sarge scolded me for didn't do a 7-round draft. So I was like, I'll do 4 rounds. Fine. And also this was in response to someone being like, no interior lineman, no like whatever. And I was just like, okay, cool. This is one of mine where we trade for Mike Evans. Okay. So we trade the 25th pick for the 50th, the 82nd, and then for a second, a third, and the 155th, which is another 5th round pick. We get Mike Evans. They get a 1st round pick. I think they end up taking like Jordan Addison or a wide receiver there. So it's not, because Mike Evans has a big price tag and they're moving on from Brady. To me, that's more plausible. I took who I feel like is probably the best graded center in the draft with the 50th overall pick, John Michael Schmitz. I think he's the type of guy that you can put in, plug and play right away, and really anchor that offensive line. And then from there, a guy that I really love, who I think has probably the best straight line speed in the draft, which is Jalen Hyatt. I mean, the guy was phenomenal for Tennessee this year. Then addressing needs with Noah Sewell, just another kind of sideline to sideline linebacker. I think he would fit in with Wink's system. Another guy that can pair with a former teammate of his, with Kayvon Thibodeau. Just kind of just an edge guy. I haven't really dove into him as much, but like what I've seen a little bit. And then another interior lineman. TCU had a pretty good offensive line and get a good grade there from Pro Football Focus, but fuck them. And then I like Dwayne McBride from UAB. I think he's a really great back. I think that's a guy that if we were to pick him in the 3rd or 4th round, it'd be a steal as well. Because he's kind of he's not like Deuce McBride. I think he's a little bigger, but just as much speed. So, that was, again, when I do these, it's like it's like darts at a board. And sometimes I feel like, you get some really good options when you're at each pick. And sometimes you're like, I haven't heard of any of these fucking guys. And sometimes that's the case too. So, but I like this one. I don't think it's my favorite, but it's somewhat realistic if Mike Evans is on the block.
So my opinions on it is that I really like John Michael Schmitz, especially if he's there in the second round. I'm not convinced he will. Honestly, both those second round guys, I would love if they're there. I think John Michael Schmitz helped himself a lot at the Senior Bowl. He might go higher. And I've seen Jalen Hyatt is a guy I'm taking in the second round of like all my mocks too. But I've seen Lance Zierlein has him as his wide receiver 1. Daniel Jeremiah has his wide receiver 2. I'm not convinced that he'll get out of the first. I think he might be one of the first wide receivers off the board, but I'm with you. He's a speedster. He's personally my wide receiver 4, but I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Will Fuller, but without the injuries, which is a good player. People will forget because he got hurt so much, but
I hope he's better than Will Fuller when it comes to drops, though, because as a guy that watched a lot of Notre Dame, like that dude had probably 10 touchdowns just fall out of his hands. We don't need another Darius Slayton. I love Darius Slayton, good player, but don't need another guy to burn the defense and then not be able to kind of catch a wide open pass.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think he is from what I've seen. I forgot about Will Fuller's drop issues, but and then I like their Alex Sewell. I don't know too much about the deal, but with the trade, the one thing I'll throw in there as a caveat with it is if we were going to get one of the Bucs wide receivers, I think I'd want to go after, see if they would move Godwin a little younger, get a couple of years out of him. And this is one thing I've been saying too with the wide receiver trades. I would be totally for it if we had a rookie QB right now. Because I think you could have that money to spend, but if we're going to spend the money on a quarterback, wide receiver is really like the next highest paid position. So if you could try to save that money out with a rookie wide receiver, I think that would help our cap space a lot. So I've been trying to stay away from those personally, but the only guy I'd be interested in.
The only reason why I chose Evans over Godwin is because Godwin signed his contract last year, and I think it's almost as lucrative as Mike Evans. And Mike Evans is in either the final year or the second to last year of his contract. So even if you take a flyer where, listen, you're signing Daniel Jones to hopefully a fair market deal for what they want. So I feel like you're going to try to stretch him out so your cap space is decent. And now you give him a deep threat to then sprinkle in all these other guys who are underneath guys, and you take a shot at it. You know what I mean? Like you take a shot to potentially, because if we made the divisional round and you feel like you're, closer to that than you are kind of a rebuilding team, why not take a shot with a proven deep threat, a guy that can go get the ball?
Sure. And looking at this one, I don't know how realistic the trade is or not. But if we were able to, gain picks out of this, we ended up turning a first, not only Evans, but got a second, third, and a fifth. I mean, that's more players to add. I mean, ultimately, we'd probably have to end up trading up again because I don't know if we can fit 14 rookies onto this team. But
he told me only four rounds though, so I didn't want to do the final, gamut. So that's Sarge's fault. Sorry.
I guess. What do you think of it, Sarge?
I love the offensive lineman, man. Bobby Skinner, who is like the foremost authority on offensive line play, has John Michael Schmitz and Steve Avila like both very high on his list. From the Senior Bowl content from Talking Giant. So yeah, man, love it. I love Jalen Hyatt, Sewell. I don't know anything about Dwayne McBride, but you know what? It gives me something to watch. So I think next is another.
This one is the one that. This one. People were like, "Oh man, you spent some time on this one," and I was just like, "No, This was another one of those where I was like, a little more realistic." I gotta, you pick Trenton Simpson. I think we're all kind of in alignment that if he was there, maybe a little too rich for your blood, but I like him. I think he would be a good pick. I traded down with Buffalo from 25 to 27 and grab Gabe Davis, who I think would make sense because of the Buffalo connection. Another guy that's it's a deep threat, not as a crazy high pick, and I'm meaning high cap. I don't think his contract, he's still on his rookie deal, which probably makes it a little more, little less likely that they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, it's a mock draft. I look at it from this perspective. If Buffalo calls up Shane and Dable and they say, we want to move up because we really like X, and we know that you guys are in need of a wide receiver, and we're obviously going to keep Stephon Diggs, but who else do you like? And they were like, well, we want Gabe Davis, and they said yes. Well, obviously, I think we would jump at that. From there, what I did was, if you have Gabe Davis in your pocket, you couple that with Isaiah Hodgins. I like Parker Washington as a slot receiver to come in and be a kind of a threat, and using Wan'Dale and him kind of interchangeably, depending on what Wan'Dale does with his knee, coming back full strength from that. Again, Noah Sewell, we talked about him. I'm not going to double O right there from the center from Michigan. I'm not going to pronounce that full name. I think he's the second best center in the draft. To get him in the fourth round would be, I think, not realistic, but he was there. And then just picked up a cornerback that I don't really know enough about at LSU. And then the next 4 picks in the 7th round are just, for me, it's silly. I watched a BYU game a couple times last year with Jaron Hall and Puka Nakia or whatever, and I felt like they had a really good connection. So I was like, let's just throw them. They'll fill out our roster. And then another
Jaron Hall's a good player. So
he's a good athlete. I feel like he'd be an interesting pick if you had him that late.
Alawatimi.
Okay.
Thank you.
But
the center from Michigan is Alawatimi.
Alawatimi.
I don't mind that draft though. Especially, I don't know how realistic Gabe Davis is.
No, it's good. I like it.
Oh, we got Walt.
So I went out too, and I asked a couple people if I could use some of their mock drafts. So I know this is kind of hard to read, and I couldn't really zoom in. So I will. I got it up. Give me a second here. So I asked WBG4 is one of my favorite follows on Twitter, and if you don't follow him on Twitter, you really should. He does great draft content.
Love Walt.
Jeez, where is this?
I like his draft.
Give me a second.
The Darnell Washington pick is interesting. Where do you guys? We talked about a little bit, mentioned in the second round in one of these. Where do you guys fall on taking a tight end in the first round? It's a really good tight end class, like a Darnell Washington or like a Myers.
Michael Meyer and Dalton Kincaid from Utah is fucking a beast.
I don't know if I'd take Kincaid just because I'm probably scarred from Evan Ingram, at least in the first round. But I'm saying, like, from a perspective of I feel like maybe those 3 guys are the top 3 picks and of tight ends.
Right.
Maybe Kincaid.
Outside of those, I don't think I would take a tight end that high.
No, the reason why Darnell Washington, if someone was like, guys, like, we can get him now at 25, I'd be okay with it because of 2 things. The guy is almost 6'8", and he's like 275 pounds. He's a fucking freak of nature from a pass catching perspective. You can also put him in pass protection and not feel like you're losing like a lot of, weight or blocking ability, because at Georgia, one of the things that they did with Bowers and him,
he's a 6 offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's an offensive lineman, but he also is a guy that you can spread out and fucking throw balls to. Like it's insane his versatility. So I don't think that you can do some of that with Meyer, I feel like, but I think Darnell Washington, I've watched a bunch of him doing that all year, blocking in mass protection and also kind of slipping out and having these huge plays. So I'd be all for Darnell Washington as a first round pick.
Yeah, and the thing is, how much heavy did we run this year? Especially if we bring Saquon back, like the fact that we don't have to put another lineman out there, the fact that we can bring Washington so we can run those same run sets that we were running last year, but they also have the threat of running out and being a wide receiver, or I don't want a tight end, but a receiving threat.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Because when you're running out of, was it 12?
We ran some
12 personnel, absolutely. Guys, like what? Think about the dream scenario of having Bellinger and Darnell Washington on the line, whether you putting them on opposite ends or kind of lining them up side by side, and having one of them stay in the block and one of them slip out in a pass in a play action. Mm-hmm. Like the luxury of doing that is, I think, something that they really like. That's the Buffalo offense that they had with Joe Shane and Daboll coming over here. I mean, think about. I mean, was Dawson Knox really like anyone's radar like coming out in the draft? Mm-hmm. And he's a big target for Josh Allen. I think that's another thing is like giving Daniel Jones these huge targets that no disrespect, like you can't fucking miss Darnell Washington. Big O is really difficult to not hit in the hands.
Yeah. So I think it comes down to what type of offense they want to build when they make that decision. And you mentioned Buffalo. Dawson Knox was a big part of their offense, but it's also interesting. Whenever Dawson Knox was hurt, they just basically took a tight end out of their offense. So I don't know what they want to do. Something that's also worth noting, when Brian Daboll was a tight end coach in New England, that was during the Gronk Aaron Hernandez era, where they had two stud tight ends, and that's probably like the best tight end duo maybe in NFL history. So like that's something he would be interested in. It's going to come down partially to the BPA, but it also just comes down to how do they see what this team is going to do, because it's not that Daniel Bellinger should keep you from drafting a guy like this, but it's just you're gonna want them both on the field. So is that how you want to build your offense? We'll see. I could see it.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're running short on time, so we're gonna breeze through a couple of these. I think we've got another smooth.
Oh, that one people freaked out about. They're like, oh, that's one of mine.
Yeah.
I was called delusional.
This one's insane. There's so much going on here.
Yeah. Because it's fun. Because
there's a lot going on.
I traded Leonard Williams and our first round pick for Saints first, second, and couple of fourths. And then I picked Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Hyatt. Then I traded our first round, or the Saints first round pick for Jeremy Jeudy. Picks. Yeah, this one's stupid, but I just did it because. But I did this because it's fun to just fuck around. Yeah. Everyone should just chill the fuck out when it comes to mock drafts and be like, "Oh, weird! Like you spent 5 minutes making a mockery of mock drafts. Cool, good job."
I'll see. I won't do this, and I could care less because like I said, it's have fun. I'll see these though on my timeline with these many trades. Like I'm not reading that. There's too much going on.
How dare you?
I like the Caillou Blue Kelly pick though. That's
listen. I feel like, but also like, here's the thing: the tenor of someone's Twitter account should be about why you would read it. Like, I don't think I'm a very serious person on here, and so if someone sees this and they're like, "How dare he?" It's like, well, motherfucker, you don't follow me then enough to know that I'm just being silly. Like, chill the fuck out. This is Monty watching watching my. Hold on, this is Monty watching my mock drafts. Monty's like, get that off my timeline.
I just there's so many mocks in my timeline, so if I see trades, I'm just like,
I know. Nope, done.
Get this bullshit out of here.
Hey, there we go.
Big Dash.
Got Dash.
What up, Big Dash?
Yeah. Big Dash with a.
It's funny that this is the first one we brought up that we have a wide receiver going at time, because I think that's probably the most likely pick, in my opinion. But we haven't talked about it all.
Is Jordan Addison? Yeah.
What do you guys feel about the wide receivers, and how do you feel about Addison? Where does he sit for you guys?
It's wild. Like I use the same one that Dash does, and I think for me, I very rarely have been getting like it's like every day you do it, and like the algorithm probably changes like where these guys go, and it's either Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba has been there occasionally, and Zay Flowers. So of those three, depending on which teams kind of want them, those are the ones. And Quentin Johnson obviously goes earlier too. So like those are the four. I think of the last three I mentioned, because I don't think Quentin Johnson is going to be available at 25. Obviously, I like Zay Flowers the best. I don't think he's going to be there, but that's my opinion.
Wow, we're very different on that one, Smooth.
Okay.
I am Jackson Smith and Jigba is my wide receiver 1. Addison is my wide receiver 2. Why we just said his name on blank. Johnston's my 3.
Quentin Johnson.
And I actually think Johnston could be there. I think there are people. I don't know, because the NFL does love those guys. They love those big athletes. So I could see him going early. I just haven't seen the love from like the guys I trust in the community with him, like the Bruglers, the Zerlines, the Jane Jeremiahs. I still like him a lot, but he has some drop issues. He does not have much of a route tree, but he does move very well. His hips move very well, so I do think he could develop a route tree in the NFL. But he's a body catcher, which I don't love. And you guys, his size, I don't like being a body catcher.
Don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't saying Zay Flowers is my wide receiver 1. I was saying like those are the people if you do this mock draft and you don't manipulate it at all, and you just say, okay, the Giants are the 25th pick, and you don't like try to trade up or anything, and you just do a pure mock draft.
Yeah.
The only players that I've seen available are Addison, Zay Flowers, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And lately, it's only been Addison and maybe Zay Flowers. And between the two of them, I would pick Zay. But that's a toss up for me too. Like I think if you're going like down like stack ranking them, I go Jackson Smith and Jigba 1. I go Zay Flowers 2, Jordan Addison 3, and I go Quentin Johnson 4 because of the reasons that you're mentioning. Sure. Not because I don't that could be completely the opposite of where they are drafted, right? I think they're all first round grades, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And just depends on who wants what.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And I think Hyatt is a guy you can throw in there who might be a first round pick. I'm kind of with you though, where for me, Flowers and Johnston, I like Johnston. I just think I don't like him as high as I think he might go. Flowers, I'd be worried that he's going to only be a slot guy in the NFL. You just don't see a lot of these 5'9" guys become outside wide receivers. You saw it with Steve Smith. He's kind of an anomaly. Jalen Waddle did it at 5'9.5", but he was an absolute freak, top 10 pick and all that. So I really do like Flowers. I just think he'd be a better fit for a team that truly needs a slot. I know people say this type of stuff about Jackson Smith and Jigba because he played mostly slot in college. But to me, if you look at other like guys who are the frame to play outside in the NFL but played slot in college, you look at guys like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. Like just because they did it in college doesn't mean they can't do it in the NFL. But I don't know. We're obviously doing a lot of talk on all the wide receivers here, but I do like Jordan Addison here as I guess what I should come back to. He's a really good technical wide receiver. He's a little bit skinny, but he's a good wide receiver.
Yeah.
What
and apparently Dash liked Jaron Hall pick, but he made one later on. The QB from BYU.
Absolutely.
All right. So this was a response to
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. Like BYU wide receivers don't fare well in New York.
Too much swearing.
So this was in response. This was in a response to our tweet looking for drafts. I would say things that
that
jump
was
out
Aiden.
to me for that is, Cameron
What up, Eli
Latu
Rax?
from Alabama, the tight end. Yeah, Eli Rax. But yeah, not a bad one. Not a bad one.
No, I
Yeah.
don't mind that at all.
No.
You get any ridiculous ones?
All right, so this next one, we did actually. I got one, but I'm saving it for last.
Let me get my
saving it for
flashlight out
last.
for this one.
So this was sent in. Also, I know, but
There we
I
go.
blew it up a little bit for us because they sent a photo. They didn't take a screenshot from their phone. They sent a photo of the screen of their computer.
Oh.
Don't do this.
Use the
I'm not
snipping
gonna-
tool, guys. The
don't do
snipping tool.
This is horrible.
Yeah, good lord. Do you have
Good
people
Lord,
hiding
guys.
in a tiger cage that you're selling on the black market in this picture too? Jesus Christ.
So, but
Probably. I wouldn't be. Yeah, a little bit along the bottom.
so Devon Witherspoon was like my number one target. He was like my top draft crush at cornerback, and then he started getting the love. He started getting love from Jeremiah and Brugler and all those guys. And so I don't know if we'll be in position, but to me, he is a guy who's built for this wing defense. He is a physical press man corner. He is just a very good with his hips, and he stays in front of people. He's my cornerback one. I love Witherspoon. At least cornerback one for us. I can see other defenses, but I don't know if he'll make it to us, but he's sick if he's there. I love Witherspoon.
All right. Nice. All right. All right. So this. I don't know who sent this in. Monty, you sent this to me. This was another response to our tweet. But again, we had Tristan at 1 or first round, and then Osiris Torrance, which is another one that
Pause.
I've been hearing a lot
for a
about lately.
second.
As far as he kind of made a case for himself with the Senior Bowl.
Pause for a second, Sarge. I have to comment on. Did someone just like do this on their like
No,
computer and like change the font? It was just
No.
like, hey man, I'm gonna send you a spreadsheet.
this is I think NFL mock draft database. There's a lot of them. This isn't one of the popular ones, but this is one of them.
This is I made my own mock draft NFL database.com / Mark's making fun of it.
I use NFL.
Yeah, that's not an NFL mock
Not
draft database.
that.
No, who was
This
An
might
NFL
be-
mock draft
I've
database
used
is
this
big
one.
and obnoxious.
Microsoft Excel.
Yeah, this is
It's
I'm
fan,
secretly
it might be fan speak.
I'm a fan of the Eagles .com.
Yeah, whoever sent this in, we like your draft, but the setup here is ridiculous.
This is like if someone sent you a
Yeah,
resume
get
and
up
it was
on
like
a-
drawn in crayon.
I've actually gotten those. But you know what? I still hire Marines because it's important.
So it's gross.
All right.
But I liked Perry and Osiris out of that last one. That was those are
This is
two
my
guys
man
I really
Chris
liked.
Peace.
What up, Chris?
Yeah, I did too.
Pease?
I have Torrance, but pretty standard. I mean, Jordan Addison, John Michael Schmitz, Noah Sewell,
Yeah, here's all the
tight end, the
Addison.
guard, some linebackers.
What up, Carrington
Not bad, Chris.
Valentine?
Not bad, Chris. This is the
What else you
only
got?
way to end this with our man Mason. Mason has solved all of the New York Giants' problems in 2
Oh,
picks.
no. What do we got? Hey, you took my boy Michael Turk though. I'll take it.
Okay.
As
I love it.
As long as the mock has Michael Turk, I'm here for it.
And that's that,
like
kids.
Well, I have one more. I
Yeah,
want to
but
have.
would you take him at
this-
57?
Yep.
I might.
Oh yeah.
I mean, his last name's Turk, so that's pretty cool.
TikTok
wanna-
star Turk.
I'm gonna close. I want to close this show out with one more thing, and just saying if you send another mock draft to Monty, he's probably gonna do this.
Ну, ребята, помогите подержать еще.
Нормально, нормально, нормально.
Андрей, держите,
Нормально,
он
нормально,
хватает нереально.
Only if there's trades.
If you make a trade, Monty's going to end up being this guy, and just this is going to happen all the time, all day long. While he's at his
That's how fast
computer,
Monty's going to move off your timeline. Just
he's
that
like,
fast.
"This is bullshit." And if I have to see another one of these again, fucking asshole, it's over. Don't do it. That's all I'm saying.
You saw. You want to do that to me?
It's good to be
And
back,
then-
guys. That's our show
to be
me
back.
your mock.
We might do
we
a couple
Sarge.
of these. But, you know,
Yeah.
not
I
a
have no
ton,
problem
because
doing a mock draft on a
God
regular
forbid.
basis.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should workshop how we do it. Maybe we can start looking at like some of our favorite picks and compiling them, just talking about by round and stuff based off of what we're seeing.
I think we should do the next one just to be very on brand.
we
Is
might
to
we might do a live mock draft.
No, I don't have a problem with, but I'm saying like let's start finding guys with the best names in the draft, and do a first round grade for names. Like we did one last week, or last time we did a show, we had Jadakiss Bonds was our wide receiver 1. I think, there's some good ones on there. There's like isn't there a guy's last name is like Beer Shits or something like that? There's some really good, like funny names out there.
We can do it by most football looking guy. We'll get in the DMs. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, what's your Super Bowl? Give me a Super Bowl prediction before we go. I'm just curious what everyone thinks.
Chiefs by 100.
Chiefs by 100. Monty, very diplomatic. I like it. Sarge, what you got?
Chiefs by 14. I was going to say 400, but let's be reasonable. 14.
Eagles by 3. Go fuck yourself.
Ooh.
I'm going to go throw up. All right, guys.
You
I see the
should.
green screen.
I know, it's terrible. What are we going to do?
Falling currently.
Oh, man.
This is what we do.
Well,
We'll see you next
it's good
week.
to see you next week, boys.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, guys. The real offseason starts.